friends, very good morning. Today I picked out the place where my grandfather has been already for painting decades ago. And yeah, I didn't see the painting actually, to be honest. I just saw a sketch. I will show it to you right now. I really like this composition, I have to say. And I'm here at, I don't think it's exactly that place. And when we look back there, we have these peaks here, the left hand side, this is the right hand side. The other peak in the distance, we can't see it in the moment, but I also think it's too low. I think it would be necessary to go a bit more in that direction. But today there are houses, a lot of houses back there. I think the place where he really painted this painting, it's not really possible to get a photograph here today. But it's also not my aim. I mean, I don't want to rebuild exactly this composition. I just got inspired by that. And I mean, the view back there is really, really fantastic. And interesting, by the way, it's also the weather. In the moment, everything is veiled with low-level clouds, with mist. And we have, let's say, 30 to 40% chance or something like that. Yeah, we get a little bit of gaps up there later today, maybe in 3 hours from now, something like that, 2.5 maybe. So to get a little bit of light from the right hand side, illuminating the trees, not the trees, the peaks back there. This could look really fantastic. The only question is, will this happen? What if it doesn't happen? And the biggest or the most interesting question is actually, do we need direct sunlight actually, or is it also possible to get a really strong photograph without? So I would say, let's find out that, and we will talk a little bit later a bit more about that. First of all, I try to think about the composition, about my possibilities. I have enough time here, and I would say fingers crossed for a really fantastic photograph. Now I found already a first composition, and when you look back there, we don't have direct sunlight or something like that, but it's anyway beautiful, isn't it? So we have everything with snow covered here, we have a tiny bit of grass coming out there, we have these bushes and trees back there, further back there, more trees and so on, and it gets more soft and soft the more we get to the distance, and these amazing mountains back there. And also a little bit of drama in the sky, it gets a little bit more dark up there, so it really looks fantastic here, I have to say. And I mean, we don't really have colors here. Direct sunlight helps you to get more saturation, to get more colors in. We don't have that. So this is a fantastic example for a black and white shot, for a monochrome photograph. Important here is not only to look at, when you think of the foreground, not only to look at the bushes back there, so that they are sharp when you look for the depth of field, that everything gets sharp in your photograph. Also look on the grasses down there, because they get a little bit closer, also they should be sharp. So this is, before I tried it with f8, and this wasn't enough, the grasses in the foreground got a little bit blurry, so this is why I went for f11 here. And yeah, I would say, let's make the click. What a fantastic spot, it's truly amazing. The mountains back there, so fantastic, with all the mist up there and wailing the mountains back there and so on. Now, I changed lenses. I've taken my long lens on, and I came a bit more here before we were more in that direction. I tried to get a nice separation between these foreground trees. It is more or less the same subject now. We are photographing straight to the same mountains. I just want to get a little bit more details out there. I want to get more, I want to simplify the scene, and this is really good with the long lens. What's really important here is that the trees don't overlap all too much with wrong trees in the distance, so that we don't have all too many overlapping lines. It's not totally possible to get rid of that, of course, but anyway, I really think about that. It's a big difference. Now what I really like here is that there's always a little bit of mist veiling the mountains, just a tiny bit of them gets out at the left-hand side, at the right-hand side as well. We don't have all too much of a definition in the middle of the image, and this looks really, really fantastic. And I would say, let's make the click. Oh man, I'm lucky. You have no idea. You can see this vehicle back there. It's the snow service, the winter service here for this road here. I didn't know that this is really a road what gets winter service, to be honest. And I'm straight at that road here. I mean, it had been possible also to go a bit more further in the in the middle, but yeah, the light changed already. It changed all the time. Also when it doesn't look after that, to be honest. Yeah, I thought I had luck with the winter service. I didn't. The good news is we have a clean road here now down there to walk. But the bad news is, yeah, I was really straight here with my camera. I mean, it's not the biggest problem. It's not the most complicated composition in the world. I didn't have a close foreground, so it worked here. But it was exactly at that time where the conditions were really fantastic. So what changed meanwhile is, I mean, when you look back there, the light changed. Also when it doesn't look after that, because yeah, the mountain at the foreground, it's more in the shadow, but that one in the distance, it's softly illuminated. Because when we look up there to the sky, we have always a little bit of gaps there, and where also back there, everywhere, and everywhere can a little bit shine through. It's not totally, we don't have harsh light, or so we don't want to have harsh light actually. It's just all about getting subtle light on the distant mountain in that case, and this looks really, really fantastic. And an important character, an important element for this composition here, by the way, is also the sky. It really changed a lot. We have dark clouds up there, we have a little bit of light shining through then and when. It really looks fantastic. I took one shot already, and I would say I will show it to you right now. Yeah, that's really interesting. Do we really always need direct sunlight when we take a fantastic photograph? And I would say, let's go back to the office, let's analyze the photographs, let's have a look what works, what doesn't, and how to deal with situations like that when you don't have direct sunlight. What a morning, it is amazing. By the way, I've got one more shot, and I think that this one is by far the strongest one. Before I will show you that one, let's quickly discuss about the image you saw already. Now, as I took the first one, we had amazing atmospheric conditions. The distance was drawn so softly, and we got this fantastic layering between the foreground trees, the midground trees, and also further back to the distant mountains. And this image also works as a print, by the way. I printed it already, fresh printed. And as you can see, I didn't go for a black and white image. And the reason therefore is simply because we had this subtle browns here, this rust color in the trees, and this really adds here to this composition. So I really love this image. And in the second image, We got already a tiny bit of soft light on the distant mountains shining through a gap behind the right-hand peak. I mean, this image is not bad, but although we had nice subtle light here, I like the first one more, I have to say. And this is because the atmospheric conditions were simply much better in the first one. Let's compare it with the first one. You see, we don't have direct sunlight through, but the image tells a fantastic story of a cold, misty winter morning. The isolation between the trees and the mountains works also much better due to the atmospheric conditions. So in this case, the image without direct sunlight beat the image with. Well, let's also discuss the third image quickly. We got more mist again, which leads, same as for the first image, to a better isolation, to a better sense of depth. But we also got subtle sunlight in the sky. So we have sunlight and atmospheric conditions. And I have to say, I like this image. I would give it 4 stars. So it is an image I would print and publish as well. But for a 5-star image, I would like to have the trees better arranged at the bottom, to be honest. So you see, although we got light and atmospheric conditions, the first one with just atmospheric conditions and no direct light was slightly better, just slightly. And this is simply because composition is more important than atmospheric conditions and light. Light has more impact through, but the composition, is simply king. But again, it is not bad, the third one. It is a fairly good image. It's just not a masterpiece. In the end of the day, it is all about bringing everything together. The right weather, the right light, a compelling composition, and also telling a fantastic story. Otherwise, we would just get test shots and not a masterpiece, right? The right light doesn't necessarily mean getting direct sunlight. In the first shot, the light was fantastic actually. And this, although we didn't have direct light, we had the right light. But this doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be direct light. With another sort of light, the first image would tell a totally different story. So I think in this one, really everything came together. But I mentioned that I got one more shot, and I think this one is even stronger than the first one, and I will show it to you right now. I love this image, and it's quite interesting. As I was standing there out in the field observing the landscape, I realized that there was shrouds of ground fog built. So I decided for going longer with my focal length to emphasize this amazing mood in this image. We also don't have direct sunlight in this one. We have subtle fog, we have dramatic sky, and I decided for a more simple composition to emphasize these two trees here on the right hand side, so that the darker beat at the left hand side gets better balanced. We have a great composition, we have the right weather, we have the right light, and the story of a cold, foggy winter morning. Yeah, I mean, we brought everything together. Direct sunlight can lead to amazing mood, it adds energy to an image. And of course, I also like to take photos with direct sunlight. But I also often take images without direct sunlight as well, and I like this. And what I do in such a cases, when I don't get direct sunlight, I think a bit more about lines, shapes, patterns. I reduce the composition to the most important things, and importantly, I think about the story, the narrative. What do I want my image to say? With that sort of light I have. But anyway, light is quite important in photography. Direct light as well. There are so many different sources of light, and if you're interested about how to use light in landscape photography to your advantage, watch this video here. My friends, I hope this video was useful. I hope you liked it. If yes, please give me a thumb up. I thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.